Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's session on doing business with the Department of Homeland Security. For the past several years, I've hosted similar events during the Congressional Black Caucus's Foundation's annual legislative conference to facilitate a dialogue between the small business community and DHS on how they can partner to meet the department's vital mission of securing our nation. This year's event is a bit different as the nation continues to face an unprecedented global pandemic that not only has grave health implications, but also economic ones too. Over 22 million jobs were lost in the months of March and April, and small businesses have suffered immeasurably. While Congress passed critical legislation to provide small businesses with some relief under the Paycheck Protection Program, companies seeking work with the federal government are still finding it hard to navigate the world of federal contracting. So today we'll hear from representatives from the federal government about resources available to companies that are interested in working with the government, particularly with DHS, who's always eager to partner with small businesses to fulfill its many missions, including pandemic response. First, we'll hear from two DHS representatives, Ms. Soraya Correa, Chief Procurement Officer of the department, and Ms. Darlene Bullock, Executive Director of the department's Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. Ms. Correa and Ms. Bullock will discuss DHS's missions, the types of products and services the department buys and how it buys them, tips for introducing your business to DHS, and finally, resources and opportunities for small business. Then we'll hear from Mr. Dwight Daniel, Director of the Office of Small Business Program at the Defense Logistics Agency. Mr. Daniel oversees the Procurement Technical Assistance Program, which was established to expand the number of capable businesses participating in the government marketplace. This program operates a vast network of procurement technical assistance centers, or PTACs, that help local businesses compete for government contracts. I'm looking forward to the discussion, as I am sure by now that most of you watching know of my commitment to diversifying the contracting base and creating more opportunities for small businesses in the federal marketplace. I know that today's speakers are just as committed to this cause as I am, and I'm thankful for their participation. With that, I'll turn the session over to Ms. Correa.
Thank you, Chairman Thompson, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this event again this year. At the Department of Homeland Security, we welcome and encourage small businesses. I also want to remind our viewers that to be on the lookout for an upcoming DHS recruiting event that is also being hosted by the Chairman's office. We're always looking for great talent to join the DHS team, whether through contracting or as working as employees for DHS. But today I'm going to focus a little bit on our DHS mission and vision. Our DHS mission is to serve with honor and integrity. We will safeguard the American people, our homeland, and our values. Our vision is to ensure a homeland that is safe, secure, and resilient against terrorism and other hazards. Some specifics about our DHS mission include things like counterterrorism and homeland security threats, securing our U.S. borders and how they are approached, securing the cyberspace and critical infrastructure, preserving and upholding the nation's prosperity and economic security. It's also strengthening the preparedness and resilience of the American people and championing the DHS workforce to strengthen our department. At DHS in 2019, we spent over $23 billion in mission critical products and services, awarding over 74,000 procurement actions. Those buying actions included things such as using contracts, task and delivery orders, interagency agreements, and other transactions. Our spend through contracts is actually about which is probably the thing of most interest to this group, is about $17 billion in fiscal year 2019, and it's likely to be about the same in 2020. We segment our buy, or our contract spend, into 9 categories of common spend, consisting of things like information technology, both products and services, professional services, security and protection, aircraft, ships and specialized vehicles, facilities and construction, industrial products and services, travel, transportation and logistics, and office management, products and again, services. These broad spend categories include many different products and services. For example, the security and protection category ranges from guard services to detection equipment to technical surveillance equipment and more. Within our DHS procurement community, we have 10 heads of contracting activities that are actually responsible for procuring the goods and services for the specific components that support the DHS mission. I'm going to talk a little bit about our components to help you better understand how we buy and what we buy. In the Office of Procurement Operations, one of our major heads of contracting, they spend about $5.4 billion. Customers that they support include our Cyber and Infrastructure Security Agency, our Science and Technology Directorate, our Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction Directorate, and the Office of the Chief Information Officer, just to name a few of their customers. At CBP, we spend about $5.1 billion, and we buy things like aircraft, engines, and equipment, and related maintenance for those vehicles. At the United States Coast Guard, we spend about $4.6 billion. We buy things like shipbuilding and repair, construction and maintenance of facilities, aircraft, equipment, and associated maintenance. At Immigration and Customs Enforcement, we spend about $4.0 billion a year. We buy things like medical services, translation, and interpretation services. At the Federal Emergency Management Agency, we spend about $2.4 billion a year if it's a quiet year and we don't have a lot of hurricanes. What do we buy? Well, we buy all things to support emergency response operations, such as building inspection and facility services, architectural and engineering services, trailers, vehicles, equipment, food, etc. At the Transportation Security Administration, we spend about $2 billion a year, and we buy things such as detection equipment and related maintenance. Of course, we also support the United States Secret Service, which buys a whole lot of services and other support equipment to execute their mission, and the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, which supports the training of our law enforcement officers. We spend about $221 million a year. We buy quite a bit of training services, lodging, and travel services. At DHS, one of the things that I've done as the Chief Procurement Officer is establish 4 strategic priorities for my organization. Those are inspire and motivate people, deliver exceptional results, enhance mission capabilities, and promote meaningful communications. It's about promoting meaningful communications that I want to talk a little bit about right now. Meaningful communications at DHS means that we make sure that the people that we serve, the people that we work with, the people that oversee us, and the industries that we engage in business with understand our business operation. And we look to improve how we communicate with industry. So some of the ways that we enable the meaningful communications include things like our acquisition innovation roundtables. Those are small gatherings where we invite industry associations to nominate participants to work with us at the DHS to look at particular areas of our business to see how we can improve, whether it's security clearance processing, how we write requests for informations, or even how we draft our solicitations. These small group gatherings are done by invitation only, and we do work through industry associations to ensure there is no inherent bias in how we select companies to participate. Another major event that we host each year, this is an annual event, it's called the Strategic Industry Conversation. And the purpose of that event is to provide an a high-level view, strategic view of the challenges and opportunities that exist at the Department of Homeland Security. That event is typically hosted in the October-November timeframe. We host reverse industry days to invite industry in to share with us, the DHS community, how we can do our business better, to learn from industry. We also host what are called learning cafes and webinars. These are opportunities for both industry and government to learn about new business processes, changes in our business process, or how we are implementing upcoming regulations. I stood up a procurement innovation lab in fiscal year 2016 to help us streamline and improve our acquisition processes. Today, that procurement innovation lab coaches many procurement teams to use streamlined approaches to improve our business process, make sure that we can get those procurements done a little bit faster, and let you get back to doing your regular business. And of course, Darlene Bullock, our next speaker, is going to talk a little bit about our small business vendor outreach program. We have a very famous small business vendor outreach program that has been emulated by many other agencies. At DHS, we use all the procurement methods that are contained in the Federal Acquisition Regulation. We want to make sure that we use all the authorities that are granted to us by Congress and that we use them in the most effective and efficient way possible. On this slide called the Procurement Highway, we show you several of those methods that we use to acquire the goods and services that I've identified. We use strategic sourcing, where we have well over 70 strategically sourced contracts to support DHS. We use government-wide agency contracts, best-in-class contracts, and multi-agency contracts. That's where 2 or more agencies come together to fulfill a need. We also use the GSA schedules. We, of course, buy using open market procedures. We accept unsolicited proposals, provided that they fall within the meaning of the Federal Acquisition Regulation. And we use other specialized authorities like the Other Transaction Authority and the Commercial Solutions Opening Pilot. The Other Transaction Authority is an authority that is not FAR-based, but it allows us to work with new or leading edge companies that have innovative solutions that they want to introduce to the department. An example of the use of that authority is our Silicon Valley Innovation Program. To date, under our Silicon Valley Innovation Program, we've awarded over 110 contracts, bringing innovative solutions to the department in various areas of technology, supporting the various mission areas that we serve. The OTA works very simply. It's basically, we start with a blank sheet of paper and negotiate terms and conditions with the vendor. Many of the clauses that we include fulfill the intent and spirit of the FAR, but they are not FAR-based. So it makes it a lot easier for commercial companies who have not done business with the government to join us. Another such authority that exists that we use, recently awarded to us, is the Commercial Solutions Opening Pilot Program. This is a 5-year pilot that we've initiated. We have a solicitation out under the Commercial Solutions Opening Pilot, where we seek out commercial technologies that can be brought into the government to address a particular need or mission purpose. Right now, we have a Commercial Solutions Opening Pilot solicitation open in support of COVID-19. In fact, we just recently extended it to the end of October. And our goal there is to find solutions that might help us respond and mitigate any future outbreaks of COVID-19. So examples of things that we're looking for there: contact tracing apps, video analytics for self-screening at TSA checkpoints, methods to rapidly disinfect surfaces, collection and integration of authoritative, quantitative open source information, or standoff methods for point of care entry detection at DHS facility. So that's a little bit about who we are, what we buy, and how we buy. Now I'm going to turn to my esteemed colleague, Darlene Bullock, to talk about our DHS Small Business Program. We're very proud of this program at DHS. It's a great program, and I look forward to seeing you participate in that program. Darlene, over to you.
Thank you, Soraya. Thank you for that overview. You always do a great job. Soraya and I go way back, so I consider her a mentor and just a very knowledgeable person. And I want to thank the chairman for having us again. We appreciate it. We like to support your events each year. But what I want to talk about now is the DHS Small Business Program, and specifically talk about a few things. One being DHS Small Business Program, some strategic positioning that small businesses can do, some proposal response tips, and some information about how to reach out to the department about, specific requirements, et cetera. So, I was a contracting person for a long time. This allows me to still do that, and I enjoy it immensely. So I'm a big proponent of small businesses. So this slide here talks a bit about, and we want to keep this up for a second because it really shows the dedication of DHS to the small business community. So what we like to say is when we meet or exceed these small business goals, which a lot of them are statutory in nature, that it's not by chance. We do these because, one, it's the law, and two, is that small businesses should have a part to play in providing services and supplies to the United States. So just a little bit really quick. This slide, we talk about A's in a row. What is that? So each year, SBA negotiates goals with each federal agency, each of the CFO Act agencies, and they come up with, goals, small business goals, socioeconomic goals, et cetera. As explained, some of those goals are statutory, like there's a government-wide goal, 23%. DHS always goes higher than that because we know we can do better than that. And we also do better in most of the socioeconomic categories. So looking at this slide, you see that in 2019, and Soraya talked about what we buy, how we buy. This slide lets you know that we are committed to small business. So in 2019, almost 37% of DHS prime contract dollars went to small business. That's huge. And just so you know, the DHS is one of 8 federal agencies. There are only 8 in fiscal year 19 that receives an A+ on the SBA scorecard. So if you want more information about the scorecard, the formulas, the methodology, go to sba.gov. The information is there. We just don't have the time to talk about it today. But just know that that is how federal agencies, they get a grade on how well their small business program has done. So for DHS, that's 11 A's in a row. So for 11 years, we've shown that dedication to small businesses. We've got 4 A+ in a row. So DHS is one of 8 federal agencies, the largest federal agency for fiscal year 19 to get an A+ on the scorecard. So that shows you the dedication of my office, Soraya's office as the Chief Procurement Officer, and all the 10 heads of contracting activity throughout the department. So this slide gives you a little bit of information about how we spent that money to prime awards. This prime is very important. Subcontracting is too, but small businesses want to be that prime contractor. So they want to be the company. So you'll see, about $6.7 billion went to small businesses, $3.2 billion to small disadvantaged, which includes 8A companies, $1.5 billion to women-owned. And I will note that for fiscal year 19, DHS had the highest percentage achievement for women-owned small businesses at, it was 8.4, 8.1 ever in the department. So that is significant. Service-disabled veteran-owned small business of over $1 billion. And HubZone, which is the hardest category to meet for any federal agency. The federal government doesn't meet it, but DHS does. We continuously do that because we create opportunities for hub zones as well as all the other socioeconomic categories. So a little bit about strategic positioning. So what does the OSDBU do? So what the OSDBU does at every federal agency is their job is to manage the small business program for that particular agency. Now, OSDBU offices are created by SBA, the Small Business Act. And so at every federal agency where there's procurement power, there's an OSDBU office. And the purpose of the OSDBU, again, is to ensure that there are small businesses that can help with the mission. Now, if they can't meet the mission is first at DHS. So we want to make sure that the mission will be accomplished by small or large business. Who can do this for us? Who has the expertise, et cetera. So we look at a variety of things. So just because there's a small business doesn't that mean that it'll be set aside. Just because there's a large business doesn't mean, okay, let's go with who we know. That's not how it works in federal procurement. So we want you to know that everyone has a chance at DHS. But some things that I do want you to note that are pretty specific. If you are interested in doing business at DHS or any federal agency, reach out to their OSDBU office. Every office, like I said, agency has an OSDBU office. They may be named something different. Like you'll hear from our colleague Dwight Daniil at DOD. They have a different name. Same at I believe GSA. But for the most part, and it's written in the law statute, it's called the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization. We all do the same thing though. Okay. So reach out to your small business office. Small business specialists. You might hear them called small business technical advisors. Sometimes they have different names. And it, depending on the agency, they're positioned differently in an agency. So Soraya spoke about the 10 heads of contracting activity. We have small business specialists in each one of those contracting activities. And then we have my office who manages the entire small business program for the department. Another thing that's important for small businesses is request for information or source of start notices. Now we know that it can be expensive to respond, but what happens is when you don't respond or you overlook it, or you don't tell your competitor, hey, let's go respond to this RFI, that's how things are set aside in federal space. So if we don't know you're out there, we don't know you're out there. So if you don't respond, I can't make the case for, hey, this should be a set aside. I can't go to Soraya and say, look, we have all these companies. We have a process at DHS, which, we can't really talk about in this forum because we don't have enough time. But like I said before, everything that we do is planned. It's not by chance. So Soraya has instituted, a few things, as well as my predecessor, Ozdaboo, on how we make sure that we ensure that small businesses are thought about first, okay? So RFIs are important. That's the only way we know that you're there, if you respond. It can get expensive, we know, but oftentimes if one of the duties of the Ozdaboo, if in fact an RFI or some other information we're requesting is, it's just too much, you're asking for too much, you can come to us. I will bring the issue to the head of contract and to Soraya and say, look, companies are trying to respond, but we're making it a little too much information needs to be provided. And, it's making them not being able to respond. Next thing is have a strategic business partner. Now, what does that mean? What that means is, say, for instance, you're a service disabled veteran-owned company, right? You should have a partner that's a hub zone company. You should have a partner that's an 8A company. You should have a partner that's just a normal small or another, or a company that's the same as you, because sometimes you have to learn how to prime, sometimes you have to be a sub. So you have to know where you kind of fit in and where that other company can assist you. Next thing is identify contracts the agency can use to access your products and services. Meaning, do you have a GSA schedule? You need to let us know. Do you have one of the best-in-class contracts? Let us know. Do you have a contract that DHS can access that belongs to another agency? That's important for us to know. Look for subcontracting opportunities, particularly within agency contracts. For example, a company has been awarded, maybe a large business has been awarded this huge vehicle. You see it posted on sam.gov. What should you do? Reach out to the company. See if they're, since it was awarded that way, they have to have subcontracting opportunities. So that means that they're looking for companies to help them meet their the requirements of the subcontracting plan. So you should reach out to them. Know how the solicitation is issued. Really quick, you may have been tracking something and it may have gone, initially it was going to be a small business set aside, a traditional small, maybe it changed to service disabled. And that may have been because of the market research, because of the responses from the RFI or sources saw, et cetera. So it kind of all flows together. Again, review acquisition back information. So agency budget information, make sure that you understand, hey, I see, Coast Guard may be buying these kind of services this year, or, FEMA has these contract vehicles in place, maybe I can be a sub on one of those vehicles or something like that. So you just you got to know what the agency is doing and how you can help with that mission. It's very important. It's not just, oh, okay, can I get a contract? That's not how it works. You have to be able to support our mission and what we, and the end goal is the services under that particular contract. Participate in small business outreach networking activities. Sarah mentioned a few that we do at DHS that include all types of companies. I'll talk about VOS a little bit later. Again, consider prime contracts, business cards real quick. Because we're in an electronic age, this might not be as important, but when we get back to, business of, the personal touch of handing someone your card, it's very important that when you're meeting a contracting person that you indicate that you're a small business. Because what happens a lot of times, we'll see the card, there's no information, I have no clue. So we put the small business cards kind of get in a special pile. So we want to make sure that, you indicate every socioeconomic status you have, as well as which will indicate that you're a small business. Now, where should vendors go? This is a little quickly. DHS has a forecast system of acquisition planning forecast system called APFS. And what that shows is all actions over 250,000 to place to look for prime contracts and for subcontracting opportunities. So that should be a place that you go and check. You can sort by NEXT code, you can download. And so DHS is probably one of the best, if not the best, forecast system in the federal government. And again, this is one of those systems that has been copied by a few, but started at DHS. So you're able to track opportunities, search by whatever your NEXT code you're interested in or your particular NEXT code. Again, in beta.sam.gov, and Dwight will probably talk about this a little more in his presentation, but this is where agencies are required, for the most part, to post opportunities over $25,000. Sometimes there's differences. Some things on schedule aren't posted here on GSA schedule. Some items that have security issues, national security, are not posted on beta.sam.gov, RFIs, etc. So this is a place to also go and look for opportunities. Proposal response tips, really quick. Now, read. Now, I'm not going to read all of these, but first thing you have to do is make sure you read the request for proposal. Know what you're signing up to. Make sure you respond as it requests you to. Follow the instructions in the RFP. Don't reinvent something unless it asks you to. Well, it can be a different solution or something. No, if it's asking you to provide it in a certain way, you do that. Okay, you don't paraphrase and repeat the RFP, the RFQ. You spell out any teaming agreements. Joint ventures is a very complicated issue. If you have a question about a joint venture, you're trying to do joint venture with another firm, make sure that you reach out to your lawyers. If it's an SBA joint venture question, they will answer those questions. Past performance is not critical to win an award, just FYI. So if you see proposals, RFPs rather, from DHS that state that, you can reach out to my office if you have a question about it, that you can. And pricing is critical in the time that we are in right now. However, don't price things so much that when you do get an award, you can't provide the services. That is not acceptable. So you should be pricing things, sharpen your pencil, but not so much that it may be an issue with contract performance. Proposal writer, this is one of my big ones. If you hire somebody to help write a proposal, make sure you read. We're back to the read, because we can tell when 10 people have helped write it. It doesn't flow, it doesn't sound right, your proposal doesn't come across as sometimes often making sense. Make sure all your tables and graphs make sense. Again, edit is needed. One voice. It should come through as one voice from your company or your joint venture to the government, not 4 or 5 companies telling us what they're going to do, okay? Triple check everything. You already know that. I'll tell you, when I was a contracting officer, and I was one at DHS, so I may see something that had a whole nother federal agency's name all throughout because they didn't spell check, they didn't delete or search and replace. So that's not a good thing. Address potential conflicts of interest. Understand the technical evaluation factors, which is most important. This is how you will be evaluated. And if you have any questions about a solicitation, make sure you ask the questions to the contracting officer prior to solicitation closing, or if you find something that's prohibitive, you can always reach out to the OSBU. One of our things is to be a small business advocate. Other ways to locate opportunities, reverse auction. A lot of companies sign up for commercial subscriptions. Federal websites, agencies have information about this. Soraya mentioned the SIC, the AIR, the RID. I know people get tired of these acronyms, but you mentioned some of the events that DHS hosts, which, there is a piece of networking in there because that's just a natural thing that companies do. And now we have virtual conferences and, doing virtual productions like these. SBA, All Small Mentor Protege Program. I will have this link here, and please make it a point, if you're a small business, to find out more information about SBA's program. Because what this program does, this is probably one of the biggest changes in small business, has one of the biggest impacts in the last few years. What this allows you really quick is for small businesses to be in a mentor protege program with a large company. That mentor protege agreement then allows a joint venture which then allows that entity to now respond to proposals as a small business or socioeconomic. It's huge. I don't think it's utilized enough, and I would point you to the SBA website to get more information about the All Small Mentor Protege program. DHS also has a mentor protege program, and really quickly on this slide, and I think you'll be able to download this. The only real difference is that DHS mentor protege program, you have to be a large firm to be a mentor. There's no joint venture feature, and our program really focuses on for small businesses as subcontractors. Okay, subcontract opportunities. Post-award teaming opportunities, say you're looking to be a subcontractor. DHS Prime Contractor website, DHS, on our website, we have on our DHS Small Business page, we have a list of prime contractors and what they're interested in, what kind of companies they are interested in. They are also part of our vendor outreach sessions. DHS Strategic Sourcing website has, again, information about already awarded contracts. You can find out about how to be a sub to those, reach out to those firms directly. And again, sam.gov, contract awards are listed there, and you can reach out individually to companies. And just really quick, subcontracting, I think, was $90 billion in subcontracts were awarded by large companies for fiscal year 19. So subcontracting is also a way to help, government agencies with solutions and with the mission. This is just contact information, my office, OSDBU OSDBU staff. We have a email box if you'd like to send something to the general box. The component small business specialist, industry liaisons. Sarai might have touched on that a little bit. They are also a part of the small business family a bit, but they are the ones they deal with large and small companies. And they act as a conduit and help with the RIDs and the SIC and the events that Sarai puts on for industry. And really briefly, the vendor outreach sessions we spoke about those are a series of prearranged appointments that our office puts on with small businesses and large prime contractors, where we meet with small businesses for 15 minutes to, for companies like yourselves to discuss their capabilities and et cetera. We are doing those virtual right now. So if you go to our website, you'll find more information about our virtual session. And these are just some takeaways. Understand the mission, ensure your website information is up to date, that we can access it. Know who you're meeting with. Understand that things are constantly changing and you have to change with those times, and understand the challenges that DHS and other organizations have. And then just utilize some of the information that we provided today. Send me an email, you can send Sarai an email, all of us, Dwight, Daniil when he speaks. If you have a question, and we will surely answer that.
Good afternoon. This is Dwight Daniil, Director of the Defense Logistics Agency's Office of Small Business Programs. And what I want to quickly do is highlight some resources that are available to you to help you get ready to do business with the government, in particular the Department of Homeland Security. And so I'm going to talk to you briefly about the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers and collaboration with government agencies. A few things we'll highlight here is we'll give you a brief overview of the Defense Logistics Agency. What is our Procurement Technical Assistance Center? What do PTACs do? How do PTACs support government agencies? And lastly, where you can locate your local Procurement Technical Assistance Center. So the Defense Logistics Agency is the Department of Defense combat logistics arm. We support end-to-end supply chain management for our nation's warfighter and our whole of government partners. We work not only with the military service organizations, but also with organizations such as Department of Homeland Security and FEMA to partner with them to supply any commodities or consumable needs to ensure that either our warfighter is ready to meet mission or our federal partners are in the best position to meet mission. And so out of my office, I have two roles here. I managed the traditional small business program to which Ms. Bullock does for the Department of Homeland Security. In addition to that, I have been entrusted to manage the Procurement Technical Assistance Program, which is what we'll talk about today, which is a program designed to expand the number of suppliers available to do business with the government. So our program for the Defense Logistics Agency is in alignment with our National Defense Strategy and our overall Defense Logistics Agency strategic plan. What we're trying to do from a programmatic standpoint is ensure readiness for our supplier base, resiliency in helping our suppliers understand their cyber posture and how to ensure they have cyber hygiene as a part of their corporate operations, relationships, partnering with the right organizations, whether it be trade associations or other agencies such as the Department of Homeland Security, and refinement. We want to replenish and rebuild our program to be one of the best in government in support of our American small businesses. So what is the Procurement Technical Assistance Program? Essentially, the PTAC program, which is managed by my office, was established to expand the number of businesses capable of providing goods and services to the government. We do this by working with states and universities and getting into cooperative agreements to establish centers in your respective localities. So what can a Procurement Technical Assistance Center do for you? They are there to provide free business counseling services to help you become more viable and capable of doing business with the government. They can get into some of the technical realms of helping you register in the System for Award Management, or what we call SAM. This is a system that you have to be registered in order to potentially compete and bid on government contracts. In addition to that, they can help you work and bridge relationships with federal agencies and state government as well. They are trained to do both federal and state and local government contracting knowledge base. So if you're looking to both do business with the government at the federal level or state level, your PTAC can assist you in that arena. So how do PTAC support government agencies? The PTACs are really our first line of what we call defense and outreach for the small business community. For those companies that are looking to do business with the government at any level, typically they reach out to their local PTAC center, and that organization has the pulse on the industrial base for that locality. And what we do from a federal level is we partner with them for particular outreach events, whether it's a virtual outreach event or, when we get back to what we all call a new normal, so to speak, those in-person events, we partner with them as well. And we provide targeted outreach, whether it's we're looking for, as Ms. Bullock mentioned, hub zone businesses, 8A firms, all of those things. The PTACs work with federal agencies to help us rebuild and expand our entire industrial base to do business with the government. So where can you find your PTACs? We have a PTAC located in every state. All 50 states have a Procurement Technical Assistance Center. Some states, such as the state of Texas, have multiple because of just the sheer large size of the state. And so if you are interested in or want to learn more about where you can find your PTAC, please visit this URL that you see here on this slide. And you can get in contact with them. They're very responsive, and they will help and assist you in potentially being more competitive to do business with the government. So how to contact us? If you can't get a hold of your Procurement Technical Assistance Center representative, and you're having problems in that arena, reach out to my office and my staff member, Ms. Sherry Savage, who manages the entire program on behalf of the Defense Logistics Agency through my office, and she can assist you in bridging that gap and making sure that you get in contact with your local Procurement Technical Assistance Center. And I believe that's going to be my final slide. With that, I'm going to turn it over back to Congressman Thompson for closing remarks. Congressman, over to you.
That concludes today's session. Again, thank you for our great speakers for their participation and insightful comments. And thanks to those of you for watching. As noted by Ms. Bullock, if you have any questions about anything you heard during today's presentation on partnering with DHS, you can contact one of DHS's small business specialists who are available to discuss specific procurement opportunities for small businesses. And if you're seeking assistance with how to best position your business to sell to the government, please contact your local PTAC, which can be located on the Association of Procurement Technical Assistance Centers website. Let me say that the three people who presented to you today are clearly the kind of people who have the commitment, dedication, and knowledge base to make it work. Let me encourage those of you who might think you want to do business with Homeland or the government. These are three key people who can make those wishes come true. I don't want to say they have magic wands, but as people call me all the time and say, Congressman, I was referred to you by so-and-so, and they say you can help me if you want to. So I'm going to ask you to contact any of these three people on this presentation, and they will help you if they want to. So I'm going to put that burden on them too. But all you have to do is to meet the requirements. They're very simple in terms of where they are, but you have to take your time. There's no cookie cutter approach to it, and there's no harm in asking information. Just because it doesn't appear proper is no reason for you not to ask questions. So I encourage those of you who are interested in potentially doing business, by all means, give us a chance to make that come true. Finally, you can contact my office of the House Committee on Homeland Security by calling 202-226-2616 or emailing from a small business standpoint, chsbizops@mail.house.gov. That's chsbizops@mail.house.gov. Again, let me thank our panelists for a wonderful presentation. You look almost as good virtually as you do in person. So let me again thank you so much for your presentation. And again, for all of you, thank you. Stay safe as well as healthy. Thank you very much.